One little extra letter by Hoovies Cars sent people to Scam Alley. So I've been impersonated a lot in this YouTube business, usually not very well. Tavares actually did a very good job in Car Trek one time.
Welcome to Hoovies Garage, the dumbest automotive channel in all of YouTube. And behind me is my 1986 Rolls-Royce Silver Spur.
Did the proper moves and the jiggling and all that stuff. Other ways I've been impersonated a lot is, well, I feel like I sort of mainstreamed the I bought the cheapest XXX car in the USA. Maybe I wasn't the first person to do it, but I was the first person to really take the ball and run with it and really blow it up. And well, obviously now every other car buying video on the internet now is I bought the cheapest XXX or the latest Lambo. So it's sort of saturated now to the point where I've kind of had to shift away from that a little bit. But you know, I'm guilty of impersonating people myself, which is what I did to Ed Bullion, who listed all of his cars for sale at once and had a very successful sale from it. I believe Ed sold like 8, 9, 10 cars out of it, which is really impressive, and I decided to follow suit. And at the time, I had over 40 cars, and it was really a problem, so I needed to get rid of at least half, and I did more than that. So a lot of the cars were from my television show on Motor Trend. It's called Car Issues, and the second season we bought 10 cars, and I didn't want to keep most of them. So there were 8 there to sell. There were also from the previous season of Car Trek, 3 cars, none of which I was really attached to, didn't want to keep, and then there were my personal cars, well, another 20 something. So I listed them all for sale. And I knew I was going to get a lot of emails, so I set up a specific email just for this purpose. It was buyhooviescar@yahoo.com, thinking I wouldn't blow up my normal email with this, and that was a very smart way to handle it. And then I posted the video, and the emails were unbelievable. So I started off selling a lot of them to my friend Urination Bob, who is a car dealer who has recently been on VINwiki. He bought 8, several of the Car Issues cars, some of my other favorites as well, like my 94 Chevrolet Suburban, the Aston Martin DB7 from Car Issues he also bought, my beautiful purple 1987 Cadillac Brougham, my 73 Mercedes 280 SE 4.5, but he also bought one of the Car Trek cars, my Tesla Model S, which, as you guys know, kind of died famously multiple ways, but was still a usable car. Of course, a 10-year-old Tesla, so you kind of have to watch out. And he wasn't going to retail that one and take the risk, so he sent it directly to the wholesale auction. I sold it to him for $25,000, thinking I was doing pretty good. He sold it at auction for $30,000, so maybe I was a little light there. But he's able to sell most of them. I believe he still has the Aston Martin, but other than that, he's sold and done well. But other cars, it was just 2 people, and it was back to being a car dealer again. And, well, I was a terrible car dealer that failed in the business in the past, and I was not very good at it again. I'm impatient, and I kind of talk people out of buying cars because they tell me what they want, and I'm like, you don't want a BMW for that. Are you crazy? They break all the time. So it's really a bad scene for me. But I did manage to sell my 2001 BMW 740i Sport and my 2000 BMW M5, even though I told myself that I was going to keep one of them because they were kind of the same car, basically from the same era. Manual transmission with higher horsepower, but it was a high mileage M5. And then the 740i was a low mileage car, but obviously not as exciting. I ended up selling both along with, well, 20 other cars. I'd mentioned the BMWs. A lot of them were from this BMW Dream Team that I assembled, where I wanted every single car from the 2001 BMW model year lineup all in a row, including the Z8, which I kept. But I put a price, like Ed, on everything. Everything, including the Countach, the Diablo. I think it was $500,000 on the Countach. Didn't get any interest in that. Obviously, the price probably a little high, but it may get there someday. But I did get interest in the Diablo and the Murcielago, both Ferraris, basically everything, but a lot of them I didn't respond to because really I didn't want to sell. I'm not like Ed where I'll make a deal on just about anything. I'm very attached to my stuff, and you know, I'm also really, really bad at it and was very overwhelmed. But somebody who wasn't bad at selling my cars is also a person who set up another email called buyhooviescars@yahoo.com. Mine was Buy Hoovies Car, his was Buy Hoovies Cars, and he was my representative, and he was selling literally all my cars for whatever people wanted to offer. So he took a $20,000 offer on my Ferrari 348 that I'm probably $40,000 into. my BMW Z3 for like 40% off, and then one other that I know of. But he didn't work for me, unfortunately. Well, fortunately, because I've never would have sold him for that cheap. He was just collecting deposits from these people and completely scamming him. It was fake Hoovie, imposter Hoovie. It was the worst kind of imposter, and he was stealing from my subscribers because I'm really stupid when it comes to technology and didn't think to set up something at VINwiki.com or Tyler at HooviesGarage.com. I just set up a generic Yahoo email, and one little change of the letter, one little extra letter, buy Hoovies cars, sent people to Scam Alley. And unfortunately, he's collecting deposits from things like Zelle, where it's really hard to get refunded. And the one that I know of that was really bad was on the 348. Like I said, he sold it for a very, very cheap price and collected a $2,000 deposit. Another person, a $1,000 deposit, and I believe one more got, something like $1,000 or $1,500 deposit out of him. There was probably more, but that's the ones that I knew about, but I didn't know right away. So I'm still selling cars, and actually I'm out of town on a big trip, trying to make videos. I'm also at SEMA, just a total mess. And then I get a phone call from my mechanic saying, hey, I just got a call from a new customer who says he bought your Ferrari 348 and I'm doing an engine out service for him and you sold it for $20,000? Like, what are you thinking? I would have bought it for $20,000. I've always wanted that car. It's my favorite car. And I'm like, Wizard, I didn't sell the 348. I didn't do any of this. So I was very, very confused because I have a bad memory, but I would remember doing something like that. So the car wizard actually gave me the guy's phone number. I call him up. He's a very nice old man. He immediately realized he had got scammed, and I felt awful. Obviously, I wasn't interested in selling the 348. It's my favorite car. I put a price on it that I didn't want to sell. It has 100,000 miles on it. It has house carpet, weird seats in it. I mean, nobody would want that car for the $45,000 that I put it up for, you would think, which this guy offered something way less than what it was worth, but he thought he was owning it, and unfortunately, he put a deposit down. And another person who put the deposit down on the BMW Z3, he was a guy that you would think would have known a little bit better because he worked for police officers, law enforcement, I believe, and he actually had connections at the FBI, and this really sent him on a Jack Bauer kind of mission. He found the guy, and he was actually not too far away from me. It's not like it was some Nigerian or overseas scam. This person lived in the same state as me. He was 3 hours away from me. His address was easily found. His name, his entire personal life, all over the internet, and he thought he could do this. And he thought he could get away with this. So obviously we make police reports, we do all the things that you're supposed to do, and well, he gets away with it. I mean, it's not enough money for police to really investigate. It's not worth their time. It's through different states. It's too complicated. So this guy just got the money. I ended up discounting one of the cars to offer to sell it for that price, but the guy didn't want to take it. I ended up selling lots of other cars, but obviously I announced, hey, there's this big scam going on, don't fall for it. So that made selling a little bit harder. So I just kind of shut it down at 23 cars, which was plenty. I was down to a manageable level of cars, and then I promptly bought about 10 or 15 more. So I'm in the same situation again.
5 years ago, the first sponsor we ever had here on the VINwiki channel was Caffeine and Octane. Now, they're our local Atlanta cars and coffee meetup that I've been going to for 15 or so years now, but it is now the largest monthly recurring automotive gathering on Earth. Now, you'll also recognize Caffeine and Octane from their television show, and the next season of that airs very soon on Motor Trend. In their quest for further automotive world domination, they just bought the legendary Lanier Motor Speedway, which is across the street from Road Atlanta. So throughout the next year, we're going to have a lot of amazing events there that you'll be invited to join. But the coolest project they've deployed lately is called HighOctane.tv, and it's a free streaming network that you can access from any smart TV, Roku, Fire Stick, smartphone, or a computer, and it'll give you access to a ton of programming, including all 5 seasons of their show, some content from creators we love like David Patterson, That Dude in Blue, and a ton more. Soon there will be some content from VINwiki on there as well. So visit the link in the description below to learn more about the amazing world of Caffeine and Octane.